Welcome to our podcast. Let's talk with Dennis Martin, where we talk about real life issues. Let's join the podcast.
Well, hey, everybody, this is Dennis Martin. I'm so grateful that you've joined our podcast today. So glad that you are tuning in, and I pray that as you've joined us today, that you will download and listen and share with others on today's podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about getting back on track. You know, it's so easy to get off track in this day and in this time that we are living in. You know, when you think about it, you've seen those commercials and even stories when a thing gets off track as far as a train or something that's derailed, and they have to clear that up. But then there are times things gets off track and they have to try to get it back on track. And that's what I want to talk to you about today as we go through life and go through this time, and that is getting back on track. It's important for us to understand that it is easy to get off track in this day. You can get off track so easily as you maneuver through life and go through life. You can get off track, whether it be with your family, with your finances, whether it be with your workplace or your workspace. You can get off track and things can happen. And it is something that sometimes we have a issue or a problem with getting back on track, because sometimes when we're thrown off track, when we get off that place that we were, it just bothers us to the extent that we can't get right back on. And we're trying our best to get back on track. We're trying our best to get things maneuvering. As you think about the last 2 years, when this pandemic started, we were on track. Many of us were on track for things and goals in life. We were on track for things that would bring us to a place that we would finally get to some goals and get to some achievements and some things that we wanted. And we found out that when the pandemic hit and seemed like the whole world was put on lockdown, not only with masks, but in shelter in place, sometimes we got off track, and we found that it was very difficult, even after they slowly started opening back up, that we were still somewhat delayed or off track. And that looked like that pull or that push or that grip that we had before the pandemic, we didn't get it back totally. And we've been fighting and struggling to get it back. And as you're listening at me today, many of us can admit that it's been a struggle. It's been one of those type of battles of getting back on track and trying our best to lay that foundation and get back where we were. And I want you to know that we've got to get back on track. And I want to share with you some ways I think that we can do that and we can get back on track. The one first thing I think we need to do is to go back and re-examine where we were when this pandemic hit, re-examine where we were when we were on track to get to our places, and the things that we were doing, the notes we had made, and the strides we had made. We need to look back and see exactly how far we were, and then see how far we've gotten off track. And then we can see if it's possible to pull back in and to get back on track with those things. A lot of times, we don't look back at those things that we put down and where we were. What I start doing is looking back to see exactly what was I doing when the shutdown came? What was I doing when we were on lockdown? What was I doing when these things began to happen? And what I discovered is what I was doing, if I'm going to continue to try to reach those particular goals and those particular things, I've got to go back again and not start over, but continue where I was to get back on track. Because sometimes if you start over again, then you've got to put back into it that energy of things you've already accomplished and things you've already done. And so what you do is we go back and we look at our notes. We look at those things that we have seen. We look at those things that we have accomplished, those things that possibly we had done as far as getting our goals together, our workplaces together, our things that we wanted to do, getting those things in place and saying to ourselves, all right, let me take a look at this. Whether you were in the process of going into being an entrepreneur, or whether you were in the process of changing careers, or whether you were in the process of doing something for your home or whatever. Even though the pandemic somewhat got us off track and derailed us a little bit, it is possible to take what we have already done, our goals, and to go back and get back on track and start back in that particular vein. We all know that we may not be able to start exactly where we were, but if we start getting back on track, it takes a little effort to work back to get back on track. It takes a little effort to get there. It takes a little effort to try to make sure that you get back to that particular place. And what happens is sometimes because we've gotten off track, we completely get rid of everything that we've already done. We get rid of our goals. We get rid of our notes. We get rid of what we've said we were going to accomplish and what we've already accomplished. We get rid of everything, and either we start over or we don't start at all. And if we don't start at all, that means that we're not getting back on track. You've got to start where you left off. It's almost like playing a game. Sometimes when you play games on these Xbox and all those things, they'll save a game. And even though you are not playing that particular game, you may miss a couple of days playing that game. But if you go back and reboot it, it'll say we want to load your previous game. And if you do that, what happens is if you load the previous game, it's amazing that it takes you back to where you left off. And when it takes you back to where you left off, then you can say, all right, I'm starting here. That's how we get back on track. Let's go back to where we left off. Got to get back to where you left off. And so let that be a part of your goal, is to get back where you left off first of all. And if you do that, then we'll find that we will be on track. Now, once you get back on track, it's got to take a determination to stay on track, because even though you've gotten back on track, you have somewhat had to deal with delay. You've had to deal with things that had hindered you or pulled you back or stopped you completely in your tracks. And so now you must be determined that even though I'm back on track, I've got to keep going. I've got to get this momentum back. Got to get this swing back. Got to get this back again, that I will get this forward press, this forward push back again. Because many of us, we had a great determination. We had a great thing that we were going to do. We were determined that we were going to make it. We were determined that no matter what happens, nothing was going to stop us. We were going to achieve it. We had set a time and a date for it to happen and to meet that particular challenge and that particular goal. And then what happened? The pandemic comes in. Other things come in. So we got off track, and we've been off track for a couple of months. Now we're back on track. So what do? We've got to mentally get that same momentum going back and get that same enthusiasm going back, that I'm going to reach my goal. and I'm getting back on track. I'm on track. So now I'm going to reach my goal. Now, as we come, it may not be this year, but as you go in, there's nothing wrong with transferring over into another year. As long as you stay on track and keep your goal, the year is not what is important. It is your mentality and your motivation to do it. I'm motivated to succeed. I'm motivated to get back on track. I'm motivated for these things to happen. And that must be your motivation, is that it's going to happen because I have gotten back on track. It's so important. I tell you, when I think about it, I said to myself, some things I wanted to do, and I was on track to get them done. And as far as it relates to goals and relates to even the podcast and relates to even my live videos and those things, and sort of got off track a little bit, but then I had to get back on track. And then here comes the motivation. Here comes the enthusiasm of doing it again and doing it consistently and making sure that I set a not only a goal, but set a time frame and a pattern. That's what I'm looking for, a pattern for myself. What is the pattern? The pattern is I'm going to use this particular schedule, this particular pattern, where I'm going to set the areas of my goal. I'm going to set how my goal is going to work. So I'm going to use a schedule. What do you mean? Well, Monday, I may do something on Monday, and then Tuesday, I may do something. Maybe I'll skip Wednesday, but I'm back Thursday, or I'm back Friday, or maybe like my doctor said to me one time concerning exercise, he said, you need to exercise 3 times a week. And when he told me that, I was like, all right. He said, try Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And so when he gave me that schedule, it gave me motivation. So on Mondays, I would do it for 30 minutes. On Wednesdays, I do it for 30 minutes. On Fridays, I do it for 30 minutes. He said, set a goal for yourself to obtain it and to reach it. And some of you that are listening, whether you are exercising while you're listening or you're driving in your car, whatever, you've got to set a schedule for yourself to make sure that you stick with the thing that you're trying to accomplish. And so the schedule could be something during the week, or the schedule could be something during the month or a day, but you've got to set it. And so it can work for you. And so you can obtain your goal. And this is important as we get back on track, that we be consistent. A schedule keeps you consistent with what you're trying to do. If you're going to do it every Monday at a certain time, then you schedule that time, set that time aside so you can make sure you're on track to do what needs to be done. If you're going to do it on a Wednesday, set it at that same time so you can set your time so you can do what needs to be done. Same thing whether it's Friday or whether it's a weekly thing or whether it's a monthly thing or once a week or twice. Whatever it is, set it and be consistent. Don't let anything get you off track with your consistency, because that's important. If you're not consistent, you have the tendency of not reaching your goal and getting off track. I tell you, it's many of you that are listening, you can relate to this when it comes to probably exercising. When you get off track with exercise, it's just so hard to get back on track with that sometimes. And if you had a routine where you were doing it 3 times a week, or if you were doing it every day and you were in a routine, you got up with that mindset to do it, you were fine. But then when you got off track, you find out it was just the hardest thing to do. And when you finally got back on track, those first couple of times, it looks like it was more draining than it was before. Now, why is it more draining? It's more draining for the fact that now you're struggling to get back on track. But once you get back on track, you're fine. Once you get back on track, you're rolling, you're moving, things are going. And so getting back on track is important for us. Whether it's in the family, getting back on track, family time, getting back on track, spending time with those that you love, getting back on track in the workplace, or getting back on track in your business, getting back on track with setting your goal to be an entrepreneur, getting back on track in your health, getting back on track in just things that you have tried to do and wanted to do and were on your way to do and were doing them. And then again, the pandemic came and got us off track. What do? Now we're getting back on track. We're not struggling, but we're striving to get back on track. And so you keep pushing yourself. Here's the thing. If you're going to get back on track, you got to push yourself to do it and to make sure it's done. Then another thing, is nothing wrong with having somebody to encourage you, someone that you have shared some of your goals with, someone that you have shared some things that you are thinking about. Let them help you when they see you may be getting off a little off track. Let them help you. Let them talk to you. Let them share with you. Let them encourage you to do it. Let them, as you have shared with them some of your goals and the things that you want to obtain, let them help you to do that. And I believe if you will do that, you'll find that there'll be a big help. And sometimes you can recruit people, your husband, your wife, your children, your friends, even your coworkers. When you set certain things, recruit them and just let them be honest and push you to help motivate you to get back to that particular goal or that particular place that you're trying to get. I think that it is so important to have sometimes getting back on track, that support system, and those that will support, those that will speak, those that will support us to the extent that as we are doing it, they help to support what we're doing, what we're trying to do. And as they are helping us to get it done, sometimes we're helping them the same time they're helping us. Everybody needs to get on track. As we get on track, getting back on track will help us to get to our goals, not only help ourselves, but to help others. And so I want to encourage you as you're listening today to get back on track. Number one, set goals for yourself. Number two, find the motivation to start again, right where you were. Number three, mentally get it where you start again. Number four, let some people encourage you and help you to get back to that place. Just be encouraged and begin to work toward those things. Write it down on paper. Put it down where you can see it. And sometimes you got to put it in front of you. You got to keep reminding yourself. Sometimes you got to put it where you can see it, or put it where you can hear it, because that's important in the things that we have to do. And so I want to encourage you by all means to let's get back on track. Let's keep working and work toward that particular goal and that particular thing. I remember getting back on track in 2020. I had a bout with COVID-19 and was in the hospital. And when I came out, I was sort of off track, really, and feeling sorry for myself and saying, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And when I had my virtual visit about 3 days after coming out the hospital, and the doctor said to me, he said, I want you to get up and move around. I don't want you to be a couch potato. I don't want you just sitting around. I want you to go outside, get some sunshine, go outside, walk. And I have to tell you, when my first walk out, it was a beautiful day. I walked out, and as I was going out on that day, just to go get the mail from the mailbox was really a struggle. My breathing was okay, but I could tell that I was winded. I could tell that things were going on. And the way I'm talking now, I was not able to talk. My voice was not there. And so I had to sit down and make a determination of getting back on track. How do I get back on? They gave me this breathing apparatus, this thing for breathing. And when they gave it to me, I remember being in the hospital. I could not use it at first because it was just something I couldn't do. That's how bad this thing had messed up my lungs. But now I pick it up, and even though it's over a year removed, sometimes I use it now just to see where I am and even to breathe. And so I keep some things there to keep me on track and to make sure that I'm further than I was even a year ago. And so sometimes when you get back on track, put some things in place that you can measure your progress, measure where you are from where you were, measure where you are. It's like driving on the highway. When you drive on the highway, they got mile markers. I don't know if you pay attention to those, but they have mile markers, and those mile markers are there for a reason. It's there to let you know the mileage. It's there to let you know the next mile or the next 10 miles or whatever it is. And then they've got, of course, the signs that tell you how far you are from a certain city, so you can gauge your progress. If you didn't have those, you probably wouldn't know how far you are from the next city. But they put them there for a reason to help us out. And so you've got to put some things in place for a reason to help yourself out. Put something in place that says, this is my progress since I've gotten back on track. This is my progress from this particular point. This is my progress from January. This is my progress to February. This is my progress to March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. This is my progress. I'm monitoring my progress. I'm monitoring where I am and how far I'm going. And as I do this, then it helps me not only to monitor it, but it helps me to stay on track, because it says to me, in my mind, it says to me that I am moving. I am progressing. I am getting to the place I need to be. And that's one of the things that's very important for us to know, that we are progressing. That's when you get back on track, you got to know that you're progressing, that you are moving, that things are happening, that things are, they're coming together. Why? Because I'm monitoring what's going on. I need to know exactly where I am from last month this time, or 2 weeks ago this time. So the only way I can do that is I must monitor by things that I put in place. I must monitor my progress. And even if I have to write it down to see where I am, what did I accomplish since I've been back on track? What did I accomplish today? What did I accomplish this week? What did I accomplish this month? And if you do those things, then you say to yourself, you know what? I'm making progress. I'm moving. Things are happening. Some things are coming together, and I see them. And so now I can get up with confidence, knowing that I'm back on track. My goals are attainable. I see my destination. I see my destiny. I see those things that I have put in place, and things that I was wondering if I could do. I see them now. So since I see them, and since I know that they're in place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue moving. And here's the last thing I want to share with you. And this is so important. If you're going to get back on track, once you get on track, keep moving. I need you to keep moving, keep pressing, keep pushing, keep moving. Because if you stop and just stop and stop, sometimes you'll get so discouraged that you may not even want to do it again. So what you got to do is you got to keep pressing. I mean, keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. Do you hear what I'm saying? Keep pressing, keep making sure that you keep pushing, that you keep moving. I'm on track and I've got to move. Nothing, if I hit a snag, that's okay. Just keep moving. If I got to maybe not stop, but just slow down. And sometimes, you may not stop, but you slow down. It's all right to slow down as long as you keep moving. Sometimes if you've ever been in slow traffic, the worst thing you can do in traffic is when it stops completely. But now when it moves and it's slow, even though it's slow, at least it's still moving and we have not stopped. When it stops, that's when you start worrying about if you've got enough gas. When it stops, that's when you start worrying about if you're going to make it. So you can't worry about that. You just got to get to the place that you know that what I've got to do is keep moving. It is important for us to keep moving. And so I want to encourage you that are listening, get back on track. Stay on track. Get back on track. Your goals are reachable. The things that you put in front of you, they are obtainable. You're able to do it. You can get it done. And I have faith in you, and you've got to have faith in yourself that I'm going to be able to reach my goal. I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to accomplish this. And I know that even though I've had a snag, even though it looked like I had some things that slowed me down, I'm on track and I'm going to be able to get this done. And so let's do it. This is your time to get back on track. This is your time to reach your goal. This is your time to come up and to motivate yourself and tell yourself that I am going to do this. I'm going to do it. Yes, I'm going to do it. I purpose in my heart that I'm going to do this, and it's going to happen for me. I want to thank you for joining me today for today's podcast. And please, by all means, share this with someone as you download. Give word of mouth and tell somebody else that you listen to Let's Talk with Dennis Martin. He told us to get back on track. And I'm getting back on track, and encourage someone and let them hear and let them be encouraged. Let them be lifted and motivated to get back on track and to do those things that they've got to do. I would love to hear from you, and you can email me at rrcdmartin@gmail.com and let me know if this podcast has been a blessing to you, and I will appreciate it so much. Those of you that want to be a blessing to the podcast and share it and keep us going, you can always do that with the Cash App, the $DLMSR. That's the $DLMSR. And that's the Cash App. And you can donate and be a blessing to us. Well, I want you to know that this is the time for you to do it. This is the time to get it done. I want you to know that your best days are ahead of you and not behind.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today's podcast with Dennis L. Martin, Sr. If you would like to donate to the podcast with the Cash App, the $DLMSR. Have an awesome day.